Alright, so Twitch is back online according to Alright, so I do not know what's going on here with my internet. It's not my internet, or it is my internet, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's just bandwidth issues, if it's something else. I do have let's just get live control room. Alright, so Restream's got me back up. And so does YouTube. Okay, so yeah, so YouTube's got me back up as well. Just make sure this is correct again. Well, that's just straight annoying. I don't know what's going on, why it keeps dropping out every like 15 minutes it seems like. Give me one sec, sorry. Just make sure the stream is titled correctly on YouTube side of things. Luckily, I thought I had a little bit and saved and got this all typed up in a Word document, so I can just copy and paste it. So let's just take all that, copy, paste, and copy, paste, save. All right, so take three, I guess. Take three. So I don't know where it cut out again there, but we were running the self-test. All the fans went off without a hitch. But then I got the same error again, which is a little weird. So I'm going to have to go and do electronics. So we're going to do that real quick. The self-test error, please check the heater thermistor not connected. So first thing I got to do, of course, is I got to power it off. I am going to unplug this USB cable. I'm not going to need it again for a bit anyway, so I'm just going to kind of push it out of the way there. Do want to unplug the power supply unit. That's in there tight, there we go. Just going to get that out of the way for a minute. Going to lift this up just a smidgen. Up. There we go. Get this out of the way. Buttoning. I didn't copy the B from buttoning. Save changes. Live control room. Alright, so now what we got to do is turn the printer around, get back into our electronics, pull the bed back. Going to grab my hex wrench set here, unscrew this bolt that holds it all in. Alright. See if we can keep online for more than 15 minutes this time around. So I'm gonna leave that bolt in there once it's out of the square nut that is in the door of the housing. Okay. So as you can see, I don't know if you're not going to be able to see inside the electronics case here. So all of this is all kinds of messy with all these wires going in. I'm going to pull out the LCD cables just to make sure I've got better access to it. Okay. So looking down in there. So heat bed thermistor. So that's the heat bed there. Oh, so it was the extruder thermistor I had plugged in the wrong spot. We didn't even get into that. So the heat bed thermistor is right there. And it's plugged into the right one. It's not clicked in all the way. Let's try. Because obviously we don't want to force it in there at all. It's plugged into the right one. So let me switch over to there. So that's what I'm looking at right there. I'm looking at this layout of the board. So I'm going to make sure. It does not feel like it's snapping in all the way. I do not think it goes the other way. I only think it goes one way. But I will attempt to put it in the other way. But they have it with the clip up in that picture. And I think that's the only way it goes in. Yep, doesn't go in that way at all. Just wanted to make sure. Wouldn't have hurt anything if it was, well, it's not plugged in, obviously. It could hurt if it was not correct turning the machine on. Yeah, that is not clipping in. If I just pull on it a little bit, it pulls out. Pull on the other resistor. Gives me some sort of resistance. So let me try and get my fingernail in there. Pull it out real quick and make sure it's seated into its housing correctly. Yeah, everything looks like it's good seating into its housing. I'll slide that little green piece down a little bit. That looks good. That looks good. And here's the far left one. It's right over the heater bed power connect, right above the left hot end fan connect. Yep. Heat bed thermistor is in there correctly. Let me button this up a little bit back and we'll try again. Actually, you know what? I'm going to look underneath real quick while I've got it unplugged. So let me just button up this screw. Cables are pinched underneath there. Alright, so well, I've got this over here. Whenever you pull it, oops, completely fuck the LCD cables. It would really help if I paid attention, right? So open this door back up. And let me just double check to make sure I get the LCD cables into the right order. So the LCD cable with one stripe goes on the back side of the printer, and the one with two stripes goes towards the front side with the pink cable facing up. So that's one with two stripes, and then the one with one stripe goes towards the back with the pink cable facing up. So the green is the one stripe, yep, and the orange is the two stripe. And that's the front one, yep, okay, so it goes into the case. Rest of those cables back into the case there, making sure that heat bed thermistor doesn't come loose while I'm doing that. Alright, so let's get this tightened up. And let's take a look underneath of the heat bed. So what I was saying was that the instructions, when it tells you to tilt it on its side to look at the underneath of the heat bed and do the cable management, it tells you to put it on the power supply side, but to also bring the heat bed all the way back to make sure it doesn't tilt forward. So I'm gonna grab the frame superstructure, get it up on its side here. Did lose a foot for some reason. That's fun. We'll probably have to move it a little bit forward so I can see everything, but I'm going to start with back here. So there's our thermistor cable there. It's got some slack. As far as I can tell, without taking the heat bed off, that looks secured down in there. That looks secured down in there. I guess I could take this cable off here to make sure everything looks good there, but I don't see any damage to the cable as far as I can tell. It's got a lot of slack, so when it moves around. Could have done a little bit of a better job with the cable wrap, but that shouldn't affect the plug. But hey, let's fix it anyway. It's just not wrapped around all the cables in this one section. As far as I remember, it's one continuous wire from where the thermistor is installed on the bottom side of the heat bed to this top side, or to the to where it plugs into the INC board. Let's try this one more time and just get this cable wrapping. Now that I know it's not wrapped around both wires correctly, it just irks me. There we go. Okay, so that's done there. Let's turn this back around this way. Get our power cable back. I'm going to pull the heat bed forward again. Let's give ourselves power again. Power back up. So there's a section in here that if there's errors, we can do some step-by-step stuff. So let me guide you through the setup process. Yes. First, I like to do the self-test, check the most common assembly errors. Fine with me. Self-test start. Extruder fan. Check. Print fan. Check. Yeah, that's moving. Left hot end fan spinning. Spinning. Oh. Wait, what? Oh, it was asking me if it was spinning. It was a restart that. It was asking me if the left hot end fan was spinning, but it wasn't. It was the right hot end, it was the parts fan that was spinning. So wizard. Yep. Yes. Yep, so that's the Penda fan spinning there. And yep, print fan spinning. Fan test. Left hot end is not spinning right now, so it's not spinning. Front print fan spinning. Yes. Front print fan is spinning. Checking hot ends. Or checking hot end. Bed hot. Self-test error. Please check the heater thermistor. Oh, so it could be the heater as well. So let's go down to the self-test errors here. So, so these are them here. Where is that's bed leveling? Where's the self-test errors? I know I saw them. There he goes. Bed heater wiring error. Check that the heat bed and the hot end power cable are not swapped. Or that the thermistor cable from both the hot end and the heat bed are not swapped in the ET electronics. So, oh, there you go. Please check not connected heater thermistor. Check proper wiring of the hot end power cable and the thermistor cables. Ensure that both are properly connected to the ET electronics and they are not swapped. So let's double check that. Because in my, my infinite wisdom last night, but how would I have swapped that? That's the extruder, and then that's the heat bed. So there's no way I really would have swapped those two. There's no way to swap those, but that's the heat bed right there. So let's check the heat bed power cable. First thing I do, obviously, power it off. Unplug from my power mains. Oh, come on, that is in there. I mean, that's a good thing, I guess, but so let's go ahead and get this electronics case back open. Okay. So just have to remember that the 2 stripes is left and the 1 stripe is right for the LCD electronics. It's just a lot easier to work on the board without that in there. So I still have a lot of cables down here, so let's unplug the so the heat bed thermistor I just checked. The extruder thermistor, we haven't even gotten to the check on that yet, but I know that that's in the right spot as well. Still not 100% on that heat bed thermistor being tight in its housing there. Actually, no, it's a lot tighter than it was. The extruder thermistor, or the extruder heater, is plugged in, so the only thing left is the extruder power cables. So let me make sure that I've got the right cables plugged in here. So I'll loosen these up. examine the cables to make sure everything is right. So those connectors are firmly on there. We've got our, and you can barely see it in the picture there, but the black wire with the red stripe is our positive, goes on towards the front. So it's terminal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Terminal 5 is our positive lead for the heat bed power. And then terminal 6 is our all black or negative lead for the heat bed power. So we do have, so what I'm going to do here just to make sure is I'm going to mark the black one. I'm going to color in some of this red connector black. So that's the red striped cable. So I'm going to take my permanent marker here, just mark that out with some black just to make sure that I get that in there correctly. So I'm going to start with my red striped one, get it into its home. There's a bit of a tight fit, but it still works. There we go. So that is in there. I'll go ahead and tighten it down, making sure that it gets good contact with all of the lock plates and everything that are in there, whatever it is they call it in there. Just make sure that that's nice and tight. Okay, so positive is now connected. Actually, I shouldn't have done that like that because the cables are twisted. Now I'm gonna undo it. Them up there. There we go. So actually I'm going to go ahead and get the negative in first because it's the tighter of the two cables anyway. So got that marked, got that in. Get my left hand in there, reach around and hold it in place. Tighten it down. Now let's get the positive cable in there. Positive cables are in there. Let's get it tightened down. Get our LCD cables hooked back up. So 2 is the front, 1 is the back. Pink cables are up. There we go. Okay, so I believe I've got all those. Let's check the heat bed thermistor cable one last time there. That looks good, that looks good. So let's make sure all the wires are getting in there and not pinched on anything in the doorway. Let's see what the cable was. Now it's not. And we will tighten the door back up. Okay, so I do want to, while I'm here and got it unplugged, just to double check, I'm going to give myself something to prop this up with a little bit. So, there we go. I'll undo this bottom, the heat bed cable retainer here. I'm going to take a look and see if everything looks good with the solder joints. And maybe I can make sure that the wires are correct on the solder joints. Maybe they're reversed or something, I don't know. It's actually not holding it very stable at all, but hey, let's do this real quick. Okay, there's my bottom. Do this bolt here. Let's make sure all our cabling is going into this piece here. So yeah, so you can't really see it on the camera, but left side here, black cable with a red stripe, soldered to the terminal, it says VCC. And then the all black cable is soldered to the terminal, it says GND, ground. So that is exactly what I need to be done there. So if I go back to the electronics assembly, if I scroll all the way back up to where we hook up power for the heat bed, twist the power pad, where is it? There it is. So if we go here, zoom in, oh, that's the picture I wanted. Zoom in on this picture here. You see black cable with the red stripe goes to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th terminal, and then the all black cable goes to the 6th terminal. So I do have the power for that hooked up correctly. Obviously, I've got the power for the rest of the board, machine hooked up correctly as well, because it powers on and gets into that testing mode, the self-test. So let's carefully get this back on there. Make sure I'm not damaging any wires while I'm at it. Let's get this bottom portion on. Confident that that's all done correctly, so let me get my little jack stand out of the way here. Turn this back around this way. Maybe it was just I didn't get those terminals tied down tight enough. So I'm going to pull my heat bed back forward again. And now let's go ahead and try that one more time. So get that power cable plugged back in. Get power back on. So I am going to do something here. I'm not going to run the wizard right away. It's going to ask me to. I'll say no. It'll tell me I can run it again from the menu. So let's go down real quick to settings and move access, and let's move the Z up so we can better see that print fan. So it works. It lives. It lives. So let's pull that up to almost all the way up to the top there. And then we can now move the x-axis left and right. See, it just learned that that's the home on the right side, so it's doing some other tests now automatically to redo that home. For some reason, it won't let me go any further that way. Anyway, so now we can move the Y forward as well. And I will tell you, the motors on this are so much more silent, and they're same motors. It's just the drivers make the motor so much more silent. That is, it's not even